Hello viewers, my name is Mr.Adebanjo. Welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to be rubbing minds together on Neco 2024 General Mathematics, the theoretical part of the question. In the last video we have solved the objective part of this question, and you may try to check the video in order to help you understand the question asked and how to solve them. So like I said, we are going to be solving the theoretical part of this question in this video. And what are we going to be doing? Of course, we are going to be telling you the topic where each of the question emanate from. Also, we are going to be solving each of the questions step by step together. And also we are going to be solving all the 12 questions that were given to students in this Neco 2024 General Mathematics, the theoretical part of the questions together. So, but before we get it started, if you are yet to subscribe to the channel, please, you are not helping us in the only way you can help us in to improve this channel is to subscribe to the channel, and by clicking the subscribe button on the channel right now, and you can click the bell notification button as well, and like the video also. So if you have done that, we appreciate your effort, and may the Lord bless you for doing that. If you have not done that, please do that right away. Now the first question is what you are seeing on the screen right now, and we have to solve the following pairs of equations: 4a plus 12b equals to 16, 2a plus 3b equals to 7. Hence find the positive values of k, given that a plus b is equals to k squared. So this is the first compulsory part, the first question in the compulsory part of the question. So the first equation is 4a plus 2b equals to 16, and the second equation is 2a plus 3b equals to 7. And that means we need to find the value of our a and b here, and the only way we can solve this equation is to solve them simultaneously, because these are two linear equations, so we have to solve them simultaneously. And you can use any method. You can use elimination, or you can use a substitution method also. So depending on the one you know best, we are going to eliminate a first. You're going to eliminate a by multiplying equation 1 by 2 and multiplying equation 2 by 4, so as to eliminate a. So if you multiply equation 1 by 2, what do we have? We have 8a plus 24b equals to 32, and if you multiply equation 2 by 4, we have 8a plus 12b equals to 28. So we need to subtract equation 4 from equation 3. So remove equation 4 from equation 3. So we have 8a minus 8a, that will give us 0. Then 24b minus 12b, that will give us 12b. So 12b, and 32 minus 28 will give us 4. From there we can divide both sides by 12 to get our b. So b will be equals to 4 over 12, and that will give us 1 over 3. So the value of our b is 1 over 3. So you can now substitute this one into equation 1 or equation 2 to find our a. And if you do that, substitute b equals to 1 over 3 in equation 2. Equation 2 is 2a plus 3b. Wherever you see b, you put 1 over 3. So you have 3 into 1 over 3 equals to 7. So 3 will take care of 3 here. You have 2a plus 1 equals to 7. Collect like times. You have 2a equals to 7 minus 1, that gives us 6. So divide both sides by 2. A will be equals to 3. So the value of our a is 3, and the value of our b is 1 over 3. So question asks us to hence find the positive value of k, given that a plus b equals to k squared. Now that we know the value of our a and b, so we can substitute that into this to get our k. So our k squared is equals to a plus b. So you put your a, which is 3 plus 1 over 3, and if you simplify it, that will give us a 10 over 3. Then our aim is to find k, not k squared. So that we need to get rid of the square by finding the square root of both sides. So square root of both sides will give us k is equals to plus or minus square root of 10 over 3. Because the question has also defined the positive value, so we know that the value of k here is either positive or negative, but we need the positive. So we have k is equals to square root of 10 over 3, and if you like you can change it to decimal number by pressing the square root of 10 over 3, and calculator will give you the answer in decimal, but I decided to leave the answer in this insert form. So the value of k is square root of 10 over 3, and that's the solution for question number 1. Question number 2a. Question number 2a is from the sequence and series, in this case geometrical progression. You are told that the fourth and the seventh term of a GP are 8 and 64 over 27 respectively. You have to find the common ratio and you have to find the first term. So what is this fourth term of a GP? The fourth term of a GP is AR cube. The fourth term of a GP is AR cube, and that will be equals to 8. And what is the seventh term of a GP? That will be AR raised to power 6, and that will be equals to 64 over 27. So the fourth term is AR cube equals to 8 here. That gives us equation 1. Then the seventh term is AR raised to power 6. That will give us equals to 64 over 27, equation 2. Then from there we can divide equation 2 by equation 1. So divide equation 2 by equation 1. So you'll be having AR raised to power 6 over AR raised to power 3. Then this divided by 8. So you'll be having AR raised to power 6 over AR cube equals to 64 over 27 divided by 8. And there's a reason why I wrote it like this, so that we can easily simplify instead of writing division over 8 here. So of course they still imply the same thing. So a can go in a, then r cube can go in r raised to power 6. That will give us r raised to power 3 equals to 64 over 27. So we can change this division to times. That will be 1 over 8. From there 8 can go in 64. That will give us 8. So we have 8 over 27. So we can now find the cube root of both sides, so that I can get our common ratio, which is r. So cube root of both sides, we have r is equals to cube root of 8 over 27. Cube root of 8 is 2, cube root of 27 is 3. So that means the common ratio is 2 over 3. So you can put this in equation 1 or equation 2 to find the first term, which is a. So substitute for r cube in equation 1. So you know in equation 1 we are having AR cube equals to 8. And here if you look at this point here, we already know the value of r cube. Instead of substituting the value of r, and at the end of the day you still be simplifying that, you can just directly substitute the value of r cube here, which is 8 over 27. So if you put that into this equation 1, we have AR cube equals to 8. Then r cube is 8 over 27 multiplied by a equals to 8. From there you can cross multiply. We have 8a equals to 8 times 27. That will give us you cannot divide both sides by 8 to get your a. So if you have 27 over 8 divided by 8, 8 can take care of 8, and you have 27 to be the first term. So the common ratio is 2 over 3, and the first term is 27 for question number 2a. For question number 2b, this is on to express 4231 base 5 in denary. So you have to convert this 4231 base 5 into base 10, which is denary, and that is done by expansion. You need to expand. You need to do that by expanding, and by you now use the power to multiply, and the power of this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So you'll be having 4 times the base, which is 5, raised to power the value here, which is 3, plus 2 times 5 raised to power 2, plus 3 times 5 raised to power 1, plus 1 times 5 raised to power 0. So you can simplify from there. So if you simplify, you have a 4 times 5 raised to power 3 is 125, plus 2 times 5 raised to power 2 is 25, plus 3 times 5 raised to power 1 is 5 there, plus 5 raised to power 0 is 1, so you have 1 times 1 here. So if you simplify further, 4 times 125 give us 500, plus 2 times 25 is 50, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 times 1 is 1. And if you add this together, that should give us 566 base 10. So that's the solution for question number 2. Question number 3 is from the coordinate geometry. It's from coordinate geometry. We are told that the vertices of a triangle PQ are P into minus 3,8 and Q 4,3 and the R 1,2. You have to find the equation of the line PQ and the line QR. So that's for question number 3A. And we are given the coordinate of point P and point Q, so you can use that to find the equation of PQ. And you are given the coordinate of Q and R as well. You can use that to find the equation of the line QR as well. So for the first one, we know that we are given the coordinate of P and Q, and we can use that to find the equation of the straight line PQ using the formula or equation of the equation of the line PQ will be, we have y minus y1 over s minus s1 equals to the gradient of the line, which is y2 minus y1 over s2 minus x1. Y and x are the equation, they are the variable in the equation, and we can get our y1 and s1 from the coordinate given to us here. Likewise, you can get this from the coordinate as well. Our y1 is 8, s1 is minus 3, y2 is 3, and s2 is 4. So if you substitute that into this, we have a y minus y1 is 8, you have y minus 8 over s minus minus 3, because our s1 is minus 3, equals to y2 is 3 minus y1 is 8 over s2 is 4 minus s1, which is minus 3. So if you simplify that further, we have a y minus 8 over s plus 3, y minus 8 over s plus 3 equals to minus 5 over 4 plus 3, which is 7. Then from there you can now cross multiply. If you cross multiply, 7 multiply y minus 8 and the minus 5 multiply s plus 3. So we have this. Then you can now open the brackets. So we have 7y minus 56 equals to minus 5s minus 15. Then collect like times. So minus 5s come here. So you'll be having 5x plus 7y equals to, then you have minus 15, then plus 56. So that will now give us 5s plus 7y equals to 41. So this is the equation of a line PQ given the coordinate of P and Q. So similarly also we can do that for equation QR. Equation QR given the coordinate of Q and R, we have that coordinate Q is 4,3 and coordinate R is 1,2. From there we can use that to find the equation of QR using the same formula we are having here. So we see have y minus y1 over s minus s1 equals to the gradient. So all you need to do is to substitute. If you substitute correctly, we have y minus 3 over s minus 4 equals to 2 minus 3 over 1 minus 4. And if you simplify further, we have 2 minus 3 give us minus 1, 1 minus 4 give us minus 3 as well. So minus will take care of minus here. So 1 will multiply s minus 4, 3 will multiply y minus 3. And if you do that, you have this. Then expand the bracket, we have 3y minus 9 equals to s minus 4. Collect the like times, you'll be having x minus 3y, then minus 4 comes here, so you have a minus 9 plus 4, that gives us minus 5. So this is the equation of the line QR also. Then for question number 3b, we are told that the interior angles of hexagon are s plus 5, 2s plus 4, s plus 10, 2s plus 2, 3s plus 2, and s plus 15. We have to find the value of x. So these are interior angles of hexagon. So if you had this, or if you had all these interior angles together, it's supposed to be equal to the sum of the interior angle of an hexagon. And how do we get that? If you sum it together, which are the that means you are summing the interior angle of a hexagon together. That will be equal to formula for finding sum of interior angle of a regular polygon, which is n minus 2 multiplied by 180, where n is the number of sides the polygon has. In this case, hexagon has a 6 side. So you have added all the interior angles together equals to formula for finding the sum of interior angle of a regular polygon. So if you add them if you simplify the left hand side, we have x plus 2s plus x plus 2s plus 3s plus s. That should give us a 10x. Then 5 plus 4 plus 10 plus 2 plus 2 plus 15, that gives us 38, equals to n is 6 because we are dealing with hexagon, minus 2 multiplied by 180. So we have 10x plus 38 equals to 4 times 180. So we have 10x plus 38. If you simplify it, that gives us 720. Then from there we have 10x. If you collect like time, 10x equals to 720 minus 38. So 10x equals to 632. Then we can divide both sides by 10 to get the value of our x. So s will be equal to 68.2 degrees as the value of our x. So that's end the solution for question number 3. Question number 4 is from statistics. In this case, we are given the following set of numbers: 26987,987. Calculate correct with 2 decimal places, the mean deviation, then standard deviation. So to find mean deviation and standard deviation, we need mean of this data. We need the average of the data, which is mean. So that's the first thing we are going to calculate. Although we are not asked to calculate that, but you need the mean to find mean deviation. You need mean to find standard deviation as well. So mean is same thing as x bar, and that should be addition of all the numbers divided by number of data we have here. So add it together, divided by, you have 8 data here. So that gives us, if you add this together, you have 56 divided by 8, that gives us 7. So that means the mean of the set of data is 7. Then to calculate mean deviation, so we have the mean deviation to be summation of f multiplied by the absolute values of the deviation over summation of f. Although you can ask me why are we having frequency here, since this is an ungrouped data, but you can see that some of the numbers are repeated. So that we are going to prepare a simple frequency table for this. So because some of the data are repeated, although if you don't do that, if you just do it normally as well without grouping it, you still get the same answer. So that means you will not be having frequency here. You will only be having a summation of absolute values of x minus s bar over small letter n. In that case, if you are not using frequency, you are not grouping it now. So but in this video I group it because some of the data appear more than one times. So for mean deviation, we have the summation of f multiplied by the absolute values of the deviation over summation f. Now if you compute the table, we have the table to be, okay, this is the values of our x, the data given to us. So we have 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are the data. Then we have the frequency, which is telling us that number of times these data appear. So we have 2, it appear once, 6 appear once as well. Then 7, we have 2, 7 here, 1 and 2. So we have 2, 7, 8. It appears twice as well. We have 2. Then 9 also appear twice. So, and that's what gave us the frequency that we have here in this formula. And the sum of the frequency is 8. Then from there, we need to, the next thing to compute is that we need to compute our deviation, which is x minus s bar. So we need to compute x minus s bar. This is s bar. It's just like, I don't know why it's not showing this s minus s bar, just like what you're having here. So how do we get that? That will be 2 minus 7. That will give us minus 5 because our s bar is mean. So the next one is 6 minus 7. That gives us minus 1. 7 minus 7 is 0. 8 minus 7 is 1. 9 minus 7 is 2. So this is the values of our deviation. Then the next thing to do is to find the absolute values of the deviation, which is another name for that is modulus. So find the absolute value of that deviation. So that means we have the absolute values of the deviation. That will give us absolute values of minus 5 is 5. The modulus of minus 1 is 1. Modulus of this is 0. Of 1 is 1. Of 2 is 2. So technically, absolute value is helping us to remove the negative part of the value. So from there, the frequency will now multiply the absolute values of this deviation. So you have frequency multiply this, and that gives us the next column. So you have 1 times 5, that gives us 5. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 here is 4. So then we have to sum this together, summation of this. So if you sum this together, that gives us 12. So if you now return into this formula, then you'll be having your this to be 12 over summation of frequency, which is 8. So you have it over 8. and that should give us 1.5 if you simplify that further. But the question asks us to leave our answer in two decimal places. So that will give us a 1.50 to two decimal places. That's for mean deviation. Then for standard deviation is a summation, square root of summation of f multiplied by the square of the deviation over summation f. So it's very similar to this, but just like we're having the square of the deviation here, we are not having absolute value in this case, but we're having the square of the deviation. So there's we just only need like a 2 column to add to this table to find standard deviation. And what do you need? We already have our s minus s bar, which is this column. So all you need to do is to square it. So you need to square this deviation. You need to square that deviation that we're having there. So if you square it, then square the deviation, you will get the square of that deviation in the formula, and that will give us this next column that we're having here. So you have s minus s bar squared. So you have minus 5 squared will give us 25, minus 1 square is 1, 0 square is 0, 1 square is 1, then 2 square is 4. Then the next thing is that the frequency will multiply the deviation square. So you have a frequency here to multiply this, and that gives us the last column here. So you have 1 times 25 gives us 25, 1 times 1 will give us 1, 2 times 0 will give us 0, 2 times 1 will give us 2, then 2 times 4 will give us 8. Then we are having summation of this. Now we have to sum this together, and that gives us 36 divided by the summation of frequency. And that should, you have this like this. So you have a square root of 36 over 8, and that gives us a square root of 4.5, which is going to give us 2.1213, which you need to take to two decimal places. That should give us a 2.12 to two decimal places. So that gives us the solution for question number 4. Then for question number 5 is differentiation. If y is equals to 3s cubed plus 2s squared plus 1 to multiply 3s squared plus 4, we have to find the y ds. So we are having this function multiplying this function, and when we have a function multiplying another function in the differentiation, then you use product rule. We apply product rule. Although if you since they don't ask us to use a particular rule, if you expand these brackets, you can also differentiate normally. But to help your understanding, we are having a function multiplying another function, so you can use product rule in that case. So in the product rule, we need to call this bracket u, we call this one v. So if our u is equal to what you're having in the bracket here, so we can differentiate u with respect to x, and that gives us du dx. So du ds will be equal to 9s squared plus 4x. I believe you will know how we differentiate this. The 3 will come down, then 3 times 3 will give us 9, then you remove 1 from the power, which is 2. 3 minus 1 will give us 2. Then also here 2 will come down, 2 times 2 give us 4, then remove 1 from the power, that will be 2 minus 1 give us 1. So we have 4x. Likewise, the same thing, you call that second bracket, you call it v, equals to 3s squared plus 4. If I differentiate v with respect to x, you have dv dx, that gives us a 6x. Then our product rule says that we have a dy dx equal to u dv dx plus v du dx. So all you need to do is to substitute whatever you're having here into this. Our u is this, you put it here, dv dx is 6x, our v is this, our du dx is 9s squared plus 4s. If you put into this form, into this rule, we have this is our u, this is our dv dx, plus this is our v, and this is our du dx. The next thing to do is to open the bracket. Although we have already differentiated already, like this, we have differentiated. All you need to do is to simplify further. So 6s will multiply this, and that should give us 18s raised to the power 4. 6s multiplied by 2s squared, that gives us 12s raised to the power 3. 6s times 1, that gives us 6x. Then this bracket will multiply this bracket as well. You have 3s squared times 9s squared, that gives us 27s raised to the power 4. 3s squared times 4s, that gives us 12s cubed. Then 4 times 9s squared, that gives us 36s squared. 4 times 4s, that gives us 16x. From there now you can still simplify further. We can collect like times 18s raised to the power 4 plus 27s raised to the power 4. That should give us a 45 x raised to power 4. Then 12 x raised to power 3 plus 12 x raised to power 3, that gives us 24 x raised to power 3. Likewise, we have a 36x squared here. Then 16x plus 6, that gives us a 22x. So that's the solution for this question number 5a. Question number 5b is from the trigonometric ratio. In this case, trigonometric ratio of complementary angles. We are given that sine s plus 30 equals to cos 2s plus 33 degrees. We have to find the value of x. So like I said, it's from trigonometric ratio of complementary angles. Now, to solve this, if you recollect that in complementary angles, sine x should be equal to cos 90 minus x, because these are complementary angles. Now, if you remember this very well, then all you need to do is to simplify this to look. You need to simplify this to look like this. So in this case, the angle is x. In this case, the angle is s plus 30. So if I make this angle to look like this as well, whatever I do to this one, it also affect this x here as well. So all I want to do is to make this sine s to look like this as well. So what I will do is that here you're having s plus 30. So this one, if this one become s plus 30 as well, then you'll be having s plus 30 as well here as well. So if you write that, that means you'll be having now sine s plus 30 equals to cos 90 minus s plus 30. The reason why I put this one in bracket, because the minus will affect everything here. Do you understand this now? So we have made this sine x to look like this angle here, and whatever you do to this will also affect what you're having here as well, because these are complementary angles. So now you have already called this one equation 1. What we got here, you can call this one equation 2. So you can see that this is equal to this is also equal to this, and this one are equal. So this will cancel this by comparing the two equations. Then that will be left with cos 2s plus 33 equals to cos 90 minus s plus 30 degrees. So that's what you're going to be having. So compare equation 1 and equation 2. You will be having cos this equals to cos this. Do we understand? Good. Then also cos will take care of cos here. So you'll be left with 2s plus 33 equals to 90. Then minus will open this bracket. We have minus s minus 30. So from there, 90 minus 30 will give us 60. So you'll be left with 2s plus 33 equals to 60 minus x. Collect like times here. So you have a 2x plus x equals 60 minus 33. So 2x plus s will give us 3x. 60 minus 33 will give us 27. Then divide both sides by 3. S will be equals to 9. So the value of our x is 9. And that's end the question number 5b. Question number 6 is from the logarithm. It's from logarithm, and we have to use logarithm table to simplify this fraction we are having here. And this is the beginning of the optional part of the questions. We have solved all the 5 compulsory part of the question. We are now solving the optional part of the question, and the first question is question number 6. We have to solve this logarithm. We have to solve this fraction using logarithms, and then in doing that, we need to first draw our lines to draw the logarithm, or to solve the logarithm. So we have some line to draw. So I have 2 lines here. I think I have another one. Then we have the horizontal line as well that comes here. So we have a number here. So all these are numbers that we need to find the logarithmic value as well. So we have number, then we have log here as well. So the first number we're having here is the 4th root of 4000. So that's the first number you're having here, 4th root of 4000. So you need to find the logarithm number of logarithm of 4000. So, and when you are finding the logarithm of number, before you check your logarithm table under number, so logarithm of number rather. So before we need to get the characteristics of this 4000, and that will be 3. So characteristic of this 4000 is 3. So you have 3 points. You now check 40 under 0, and that will give us the mantissa, which is 6021. So the value of this 3 you're having here is talking about the characteristics of the 4000, which is 3. Then this decimal number you're having here is from the mantissa on the logarithm table, by checking 40 under 0, that gives us 6021. Do you understand that? Good. Then having gotten down, that's the value of the logarithm of 4000. We're having square root of that. Yes, we're having fourth root of 4000 here. So whatever you get here, you need to divide it by 4 rather, because of this fourth root. So you need to divide the answer by 4. And when you divide it by 4, if you press your calculator now to divide this by 4, that should give us 0.9005. Are we there? So that means the value of this fourth root of 4000 is 0.9005, still in logarithm. Then the next thing is to bring the next number, which is 75.9. so the characteristic of this number is a 1. Then you now check 75 under 9 on your logarithm table, so you have a 1.8802. so now we are dealing with the numerator of this fraction. So this is the numerator. We have gotten the value of this and the value of this. So the value of the fourth root of 4000 is this, and the value of 75.9 is this. In between they are having times, so times will change to addition, so you need to add them together. So you have plus, then bring a line here. So you now add this together, 708 17 remainder 1, so you have 7 here remainder and then 2. So that should give us a 2.7807 for the value of the numerator. So I can close that line. So this is the value of the numerator when I simplify it at the, that is the logarithm value. The logarithmic values of the numerator is this. Now let's go back to the denominator here. The first number there is 5.61, so you write that 5.61. The characteristic of this number is 0, so you have 0 point, then you check 56 under 1 on your logarithmic table, and that should give us a 0.7489 if you check correctly. Then the next number is a 4.39, you bring that one here as well, 4.39. Then the characteristic of this number is also 0, so I have 0 point, you check 43 under 9, and that should give us a 0.6425. So between this number and this number as well, you have times, so that will also change to addition. You need to add them together. Then that should give us a 14. You have 4 remainder 1. 1 plus 8 is 9 plus 2, that gives us 11. 1 remainder 1. 1 plus 4 that gives us 9. Then 7 plus 6 is 13, so you have 3 remainder 1. Then 1 plus 0 that gives us 1. So you have 1.3914 when you add this together. So I can close this line as well. So this is the value of the numerator and this is the value of the denominators. So in between the numerators and the denominator there is a division sign here, and we know that division will change to what? Subtraction. So that means I can bring the value of the numerator here, I can bring it to this side by drawing another line here. So I'll bring out this one here, so I'll now bring this one outside here also. Then I will now subtract them because of this division here. So I will now subtract the value of the numerator from the value of the denominator. So when you bring a line here, you can now subtract 7 minus 3 is 7 minus 4 is 3. 0 minus 1 is impossible. Borrow from here to here, that gives us 10 minus 1, that gives us 9. Then 7 minus 9 is impossible. You borrow from here to here as well, that will give us a 17 minus 9, that gives us a 6. That's 17 minus 9, that should give us I think yes, or 8 rather. Then you have 6 here. 6 minus 3 give us 3, then 2 minus 1 give us 1. So this is the logarithmic values of everything you're having here. But we know that this is number. We need to change this logarithm value to numbers by finding the antilog. So you now find the antilog of 1.3893 and check your antilog table. You write 0 point first, then you now check 38 under 9, it remains 3, and whatever you get, you now add 1 to the characteristics here, that gives us 2. You now move your decimal point twice to the front, so that should give us a 24.51 as the value of this fraction here. Question number 6b is from the number base. We have to express 4553 base 6 in base 3. So how can we do that? We know that you cannot go from base 6 to base 3 directly. No, you have to go from base 6 to base 10, from base 10 to base 3. Then let's do base 10 first. First change to base 10, and that should be expansion. That will give us a 0. You need to tag this number, label it 0 1 2 3. So that will be 4 times the base, which is 6 raised to power 3 plus 5 times this, the 5 times 6 raised to power 2 plus 5 times 6. You have 3 times 6 raised to power 0. Then from there also we can now simplify further. That will give us 4 times 6 raised to power 3 is 216 plus 6 raised to power 2 is 36. Then times 5 here. You have 6 raised to power 1 and give us 6 times 5. Then 6 raised to power 0 is 1. That times 3 here. If you simplify further, so that will give us 4 times 216 will give us 864. Then this time they give us 180 plus 30 plus 3. If you add together, it will give us 1077 base 10. So we now change this from base 10 now to base 3 by using division method. And how do we go about that? To change to base 3, you need to use the long division method. So draw your line and bring a line here as well. So we have your base 3, so you have 3 here, and we have 1077 here, and we have 3 here, and the remainder will be here, and it is the remainder that we need. So 3 in the 1077, that should give us 359, remainder 0. Then 3 also will go, then you draw a line. 3 in 359, that will give us 119, remainder 2. Then 3 also will go again in 119, that will give us 39, remainder 2 also. Then 3 will go again, 3 in 39, that will give us 13, remainder 0. Then 3 will go again in 13, that will be 4, remainder 1. Then 3 will go again in 4, that will be 1, remainder 1 as well. Then 3 in 1 is 0, remainder 1. So that means we now write the answer from down upward. So that means you'll be having 4553 base 6 to be equal to 1110220 base 3 as the answer for question number 6b. Question number 7a is from the algebraic fraction. We have to solve this equation. We are having 19 over 12 minus 3 over 4 into s minus 4 equals to 5 over 6. So we have to solve this equation. And how do we do it? The best way to do it, to go about it, is to find the LCM of 12, 4 into s minus 4 and the 6. So when you now get the LCM, you now multiply through by the LCM. So if I should ask you what is the LCM of 12, 4 into s minus 4, then 6. So let me give you 1 second to figure that out. The LCM will be 12 into s minus 4. That will be the LCM. So the LCM of this will be 12 into s minus 4. Because 12 can go in this, that gives us s minus 4. 4 into s minus 4 can go in this, that gives us 3. Then 6 can also go in this, that gives us 2 into s minus 4. So we now use this LCM to multiply through, and it will go like this. You have 12 into s minus 4, which is this LCM multiplied by 19 over 12, minus the LCM multiplied by this, equals to 5 over 6 multiplied by the LCM. So you have used this LCM to multiply through, and that will help us to clear the denominators. So let's go about it. 12 can cancel 12 here, so you'll be having 19 into s minus 4 left here, minus 4 can go in 12, that gives us 3. Then s minus 4 will cancel s minus 4, so you have 3 times this 3 here. So you have 3 times 3 equals to 6 can go in 12 here, that gives us 2. 2 times 5 gives us what? 10 into s minus 4. You can see what you have arrived at using that logic, and that you can see that it is very, very fast in that case. Open the bracket, you have a 19s minus 76 minus 9 equals to 10s minus 40. When you open the bracket, collect the like terms from there. Minus 76 minus 9 will give us a minus 85. Then take the like terms, you have 19s minus 10s equals to minus 40 plus 85. That should give us a 9s equals to 45. Divide both sides by 9. S will be equals to 5 in this case for question number 7a. Question number 7b is from the variation. We are told that the cost of transportation is partly constant and partly varies as the distance covered. the cost is 1025 when the distance is 220 kilometers, and the cost is 1345 when the 300 kilometer is covered. If the distance between the Lagos and Kaduna is 982 kilometers, find the cost of transportation. Like I told you, this question is from variation. In this case, is from the partial variation. The question is from partial variation. So we will say let C represent the cost of transportation, and then let D represent the distance. So you can now establish the relationship between the the cost and the distance using partial variation. So the cost of transportation, which is C, is partly constant, so you need to introduce a constant, and partly varies as a distance, which is D, and to that D as well you need to introduce another constant. So if you do that, you'll be having this equation: C is equals to the first constant plus the distance multiplied by another constant, which is B. So where A and B are constant, so C is the cost of transportation and D is the distance, where A and B are constant. So this is the equation that we're able to generate from this partial variation. Now the next one you're having here, the cost here is 1025, so you have C to be 1025 when the distance is 220. So you have the first equation is 1025 equals to A plus D, which is 220 multiplied by the B, which is constant. That gives us the first equation. Second one is that the cost is 1345 and the distance is 300, so that will give us this equation as well. So from there you can now solve these two equations to get the constant A and B, and then when we now get that, we can now find this the last question here. Then how can we solve this? You can solve this simultaneously by, you can see that this A, we can eliminate A here by subtracting. You can remove equation 1 from equation 2. So subtract 1 from 2, we have 1345 minus 1025. That should give us 320 rather. 320, A minus A is 0, then 300B minus 220B, that will give us 80B. So divide both sides by 80 to find our B. So 320 divided by 80 will give us 4. So that means B is 4. You can now put that into equation 1 or equation 2 to find our A. So if you go ahead and do that, we use equation 1, 1025 equals to A plus 220B. Put your B here, you have this, then simplify this, you have 1025 equals to A plus 880, collect like times, A will be equals to this minus 880, A will be equals to 145. So we now know the value of the two constant now. So that means the equation, which is what you are having here, is this. We are now given the distance between Lagos and Kaduna to find the cost, which is C. So if you substitute that into this formula, our C will be equal to 145, which is the value of our A, plus value of our B is 4 multiplied by the distance between them, which is D. So which is this. So if you simplify that with your calculator, we have 145. 4 times D will give us 3,928. Add this together, that give us 4,073 naira as the cost of the distance between Kaduna and Lagos. So that's the end of question number 7B. Question number 8 is from the measuration of solid shape. In this case, we are measuring cone. A cone has a radius of 10 cm and a slant height of 26 cm. We have to find the total surface area, the volume, and the angle of a sector that is forming that form the cone, correct to the nearest degree. So you are talking about a cone, and we are giving the slant height to and we are giving the base radius of the cone. So we can draw the height of the cone and the radius as well. So we are giving the slant height to be 26 and the radius will be 10. So let's label the height to be h. So you have to find total surface area of the cone. And not total surface area of the cone is the core surface area multiplied by the area of the base, circular base. So that means we have the core surface area plus the base area of the cone. That will give us the total surface area. And the core surface area of the cone is pi r L plus area of the circular base is pi r square. If you factorize pi r from this, you have pi r into L plus r. Then from there, can now substitute our values. our pi is 22 over 7 multiplied by the radius is 10 into the L, which is the slant height, is 26 plus radius, which is 10. Simplify that further. 10 times 22 give us 220 over 7. Then 26 plus 10 give us 36. Multiply by 36. If you simplify this with calculator, we have 1131.428 centimeter square. So we have to take it to one decimal place. That should give us 1131.4 centimeter square to one decimal place. Also, we have to find the volume of the cone. To find the volume of the cone, we need the height of the cone. We need the height of this cone to find the volume of the cone. And we can see that we know that there is a relation between the height of the cone, the slant height, and the radius, because this is a right angle triangle. So you can use Pythagoras theorem to find the height of the cone given the slant height and the radius. So using Pythagoras theorem, you have 26 squared equals to 8 squared plus 10 squared. Then if you collect light times, you have 26 squared is 676 equals to 8 squared plus 100. Collect light times 8 squared will be equal to 676 minus 100. That should give us a 576. Find the square root of both sides. A should be equal to 24 centimeters. So that means the height of the cone is 24 centimeters. We can now find the volume of the cone now, and that will be 1/3 of the volume of a cylinder, which is 1 over 3 pi r square h. Substitute the values into it. You have 1 over 3 times 20 over 7, which is pi, times radius is 10 squared multiplied by the height, which is 24 that we got here. If you simplify this with your calculator, we have 2514.2857 centimeter cube to 2 decimal places. That should give us 2514.29 centimeter cube to 2 decimal places. Then the last question, we have to find the angle of the sector that form the cone correct to the nearest degree. We know that there is a relation between the cone and the sector of a circle. We can fold a sector to get a cone. So, and that's what is they are asking you here, that you have to get the angle of the sector that form this cone. And we know that there is a relation between the angle of a sector and the base radius of a cone. Base radius of a cone can be gotten from the sector of a circle. So base radius of a cone, which is small r, is equals to theta, which is the angle of a sector, multiplied by the radius of the sector over 360 degrees. That is, from the sector of a circle, I can get the base radius of a cone, which is small r. That will be equals to the angle of the sector multiplied by the radius of the sector over 360 degrees. So our aim is to find this theta now, which is the angle of the sector. So you can make that sort of formula by cross multiplying. R multiply 360 equals to theta r. Then to get theta will be r times 360 divided by big R. So theta will be equal to 360 r over big R. But we know that the radius of the sector is the same thing as the slant height of the cone. Radius of the sector is the same thing as the slant height of the cone. So if you substitute that into this formula, we have theta equals to 360 times radius of the cone, which is 10, over big R, which is the slant height, which is equal to the slant height of the cone, which is 26. And if you simplify that further, that will give us a 138.46 degree. And to the nearest degree, that will give us a 139 degree, rather, to the nearest degrees. So that's solution for question number 8. Question number 9a, still from sequence and series. In this case, arithmetic progression. We are told that the 9th term of an AP is 61, while the 21 terms is 145. So we have to find the sum of the 48 terms. So what is the 9th term of an AP? That will be a plus 9d. Sorry, a plus 8d, rather. A plus 8d, which is the 9 terms of an AP. That will be equal to 61. So we have a plus 8d equals 61. That gives us equation 1. Then the 21st term of AP is a plus 20d. So that will be equal to 145. So we have two equations to solve simultaneously now. We can subtract equation 1 from equation 2. So that will give us a minus a is 0. 20d minus 8d, that will give us a 12d. So 145 minus 61, that gives us a 84. Then you can divide both sides by 12. So d will be equal to 7. Then now that we know about d, you can substitute that into equation 1 or equation 2 to find our a. So from equation 1, we have a plus 8d equals 61. Put your d here. you have a plus a times 7 equals to 61. Then a times 7 is 56. Then collect times a will be equal to 61 minus 56, and that should give us 5 as the value of our a. So we know our first term, we know the common difference. You can now sum the first 48 term using sum of term in AP. So sum of term in AP is n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 multiplied by d. So we are summing 48 times, so our n is 48. So we have sum of 48 equals to 48 over 2 into 2 times our first term is 5 plus 48 minus 1 multiplied by the common derivative, which is 7. You simplify for that 2 can go in 48, that give us 24. 2 times 5 is 10. 48 minus 1 is 47, then times 7. So we have 24 into 10. 47 times 7 give us 329. Then add this together, we have 24 multiplied by 339. If you multiply that out, that give us 8136 as the sum of the first 48 terms. Question number 9b is on from integration. In this case, integral of a definite. You have to integrate this 3 over 2 s squared plus 5, giving the limit of 2 to 0. So if you have to integrate this, like I said, this is a definite integral. So if I integrate this function, then you now put the limit. So how do we integrate? If you integrate s squared, that will give us 3. That give us s cubed over 3. If you integrate that, that should give us 3 over 2, which is this 3 over 2. Then add 1 to the power, and the power come down. So you have s raised to power 3 over 3. Then if you integrate 5, that give us 5x. Then you had a constant, which is c. Then the limit is from 2 to 0. You're having here. So 3 can go in 3 here. So you have s cubed over 2 plus 5s plus c. So we have s cubed over 2 plus 5 plus c. Then the limit is from 2 to 0. Now you can now put the limit now. So our for the first limit you have 2, so you put it in wherever you see x. So then minus, you put the second limit, which is 0, wherever you see x as well, and that will give us this. You have 2 raised to power 3 over 2 plus 5 times 2 plus c minus second limit, which is 0. You put it there, and you put it here as well. 0 cube over 2 plus 5 times 0 plus c. 2 raised to power 3 is 8 over 2, that gives us 4. Then 5 times 2 is 10. So we have 8 over 2 plus 10 plus c, which is for this. Then minus, this is 0, this is 0, then plus c. So plus c times minus will give us a minus c as well. So minus will take, c will take care of c here. So we have 8 over 2, that gives us 4. So we have 4 plus 10, and that should give us a 14 as the answer for for this question. Question number 10 is from the graph. It's on graph. We have to copy and complete the table for y is equals to s squared plus x minus 12 for this table, and on that same, using the scale of 2 cm to 1 unit, and on the x-axis 2 cm to 5 units on the y-axis. You have to draw the graph of this quadratic equation, and also on the same graph you have to draw the graph of this linear equation as well, and solve this on the graph. Now the first thing to do is to complete this table using this equation given to the y is equals to s squared plus x minus 12. And if you complete the table, we have the table to be this. So it's very simple. I believe you know how to complete the table. The first thing is to do your s is these are the value of your s from minus 4 to plus 4. For the first one, your s is minus 4. If you put that here, minus 4 square is 16. Then minus 4, 16 minus 4 will give us 12. Then 12 minus 12 will give us 0. The next one, your s is minus 3. Put that here, minus 3 square, that will give us 9. Then if you put your s here, you have minus 3. 9 minus 3 will give us 6. Then 6 minus 12 will give us a minus 6. The next one, your s is minus 2. Put that here, minus 2 square, that will give us 4. Then minus 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Then 2 minus 12, that gives us minus 10. Then you can complete the rest yourself as well in that manner or in that pattern. Then we need to get the, since you are going to draw the graph of this linear equation also on the same graph, we need to get the table for this linear equation as well. We have y is equal to 2s plus 1. But because this is a linear equation, every linear equation will give us a straight line graph. So that means we don't need to use all the values of x for this. We can just pick the beginning, the middle, and the end for the value of our x, and then get the values of y for the value of the x, So we have this as well. So we have s is minus 4, 0 and 4. So our s is minus 4. You have, if we put that here, we have a minus 4 times 2, that give us minus 8 plus 1, that will give us a minus 7. Then 0, if you put 0 here, 0 plus 1, that give us 1. Then 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1, that give us 9. So you can just do these 3 points instead of doing all the points. Our ruler for drawing the straight line will help you get the remaining point out. So from there we can now draw the graph. Getting these two tables ready, you can now draw the graph now. And if you draw your graph, the graph will look like this. This is how the graph is going to look like. This is your y-axis and this is your x-axis. You now scale the axis based on the scale given to you. On the x-axis, 2 cm represents 1 unit. So you can see this from here to here is 2 cm. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and so on. On the y-axis as well, 2 cm represents 5 units. This is 5, 10, 15 and so on. Minus 5, minus 10, minus 15 and so on. So the scale is perfect. Then to draw the graph, this curve represents the quadratic equation, and the straight line we are having here represent the linear equation. And when our y is for the graph, quadratic graph here, when our s is minus 4, our y is 0. So s is minus 4 here, and the y is 0 on the x-axis. So you have a point here. Next one, when our s is minus 3, which is this point, our y is minus 6. So this is minus y here. Y this on this side, y is negative, so we have minus 5 here. And we don't forget that on the y-axis, 2 cm represent 5 units. So that means we have 10 lines here. So we can know the value of one line by dividing this unit, which is 5, divided by 10. That gives us 0.5. So that means each line on the y-axis is 0.5. So to now get 6, so that means we need 2 lines from minus 5. So we have a 1, then 2. So this line here is going to be minus 6. Trace it to the under minus 3 here for x-axis. So you have a point here as well. So you have a point here. The next one, when our s is minus 10, sorry, when our s is minus 2 rather, which is this point, our y is minus 10. So this minus 10 here, trace to the this s minus 2, so you have a point here as well. When our s is minus 1, which is this minus 1 here, our y is minus 12. So this is minus 10, so minus 11, then minus 12. So we have to raise to the front, we have a point here as well. Then when our s is 0, which is on the y-axis, our y is minus 12. So minus 12 is here, so you have a point here as well. So when our y is 1, so our s is 1, our y is minus 10. Our y is minus 10 here, so trace to the front, this way s is 1, so we have a point here as well. Then when our s is 2, which is this point, we have our y to be minus 6. So when our s is 2, our y is minus 6. So this is minus 5 here, so minus 6 is here. So when our s is 3, our y is 0, so that will go on the x-axis. And then when our s is 4, our y is 8. So this is 5 here, this is 6, 2 lines 6, another 2 lines 7, another 2 lines what, 8. So we have another point here. So you cannot join the curve, the point together using your broom, or you use a French curve. So use your broom to draw the curve, or use a French curve. So you can see that this curve represents the quadratic equation. Then the straight line, which is represent the linear equation. Now s is minus 4, our y is minus 7. So this is minus 5, next 2 line minus 6, next 2 line is minus 7. Trace to the front, you have this point here. The next one, our s is 0, our y is 1. So our s is 0 on the y-axis, so our y is 1 here, this point here. And the last one, when our s is 4, our y is 9. So 9, that should be 5, next to line 6, next to line 7, next to line 8, next to line 9. So this is the next point. So you can use you can place a long ruler on this point, and this point, and join it together, which and that will give you the straight line. So this is the graph for the equation, the quadratic graph and the linear graph. Then from equation number D, we have done this. You are now in question number D. You have to, from your graph, determine the root of the equation x squared minus x minus 13 equals 0. So we have to, from the graph, we have to solve this quadratic equation. Now this quadratic equation given to us is revolving around this quadratic equation we are having here. You are having x squared, you are having x squared. Although you are having x here, but you are having minus x here, and you are having minus 12, you are having minus 13. So whatever is given to you to solve from the graph is around the equation that represents the graph. So that means there's a way I can simplify this equation to look like this. Then whatever it is rest, I will move it to the other side. So I can simplify this equation to look like the equation that gives us this curve. Because the question says you should, from your graph, from this graph, then simplify this. That means this, I can simplify this to look at this curve, to look like this quadratic equation which represents this curve. Then whatever is left, I will take it to the other side. Okay, let's go ahead. You have x squared and x squared. That one is perfect. Here you're having x. Here you're having minus x. So that means I can simplify minus x to give. I can simplify minus x to show, to produce this x, this plus x out. How? So what are the two number? What are the two number I can add together to give me minus 1 here? And the one of the number is a plus 1. So I will have a plus x, or plus 1 minus 2x. So minus 2x plus 1 will give us what? Minus 1. And I've already seen plus x from that. What am I saying in essence? I need to show this x, this plus x from this minus x. So I need to find two things I can add together to give me minus x, and one of them is a plus x. So that will give us plus x minus 2x. Plus x minus 2x will give us minus x, but you have already seen x there. So if you see that, so you have x minus 2x. X minus 2x will give us a minus x, but you can see that this x, you have already fashioned out this s from that. So what you need to do is to take this one to the other side. You are coming back there. Also from minus 13 as well, we can get minus 12 from minus 13 by getting two numbers you can add together to give us a minus 13, and one of them is minus 12, and that should be minus 12 minus 1. Minus 12 minus 1 will give us minus 13, and this minus 12 is what we need. So for us to get this equation now, that means we need to take this minus 2s to this side and this minus 1 to this side. If you do that, we have that s squared plus x minus 12 equals to 2s plus 1. So this left hand side represents the quadratic equation, and the right hand side, you can see that it represents the linear equation. So they have one way or the other hide the linear equation into this quadratic equation to give us this what you're having here. So what does this one literally imply? It implies that the quadratic equation is equal to the linear equation. So that means the quadratic is equal to linear equation. So go to your graph where the quadratic equation cut the linear equation, then that's where you are looking for. So this linear curve cut the curve at this point. So let me try to zoom it. Let me try to zoom in, so you can see that it cut the this what's it called, this linear graph cut the curve at this point here. So if you try to find the value of x at that point, so that will give us minus 3.1. Minus 3.1. So s is equal to minus 3.1 at that point. Then let's go back. Then also it's also cut it here as well. So let's try to see the value of that one as well, so that I can read it. It also cut it here as well. So s as at that point is 4.1. So here trace it up, that's 4.1 here. So our s is either minus 1.3 or 4.1. So the value of s is minus 1.3 or 4.1. So that's solution for question number 10D. Then question number 10 is we have to find the minimum value of y from the quadratic graph. So the minimum value of y is the turning point where the curve turn. That's at minimum. So let's try to see that as well. So if I zoom this place as well, you can see the minimum as well. So that is where the curve the turning point of the curve, which is this point here. So you can know the value of y at that point. So don't forget that one line on the y-axis is 0.5. So you have two lines is -1. Another two lines -2. So -2 plus -10, that gives us -12. Then you can see that the curve here is at the middle of this line and this line. So that will give us if you divide 0.5 divided by 2, that gives us 0.25. So that should give us a -12.25 as the value of the minimum value of y. So let's zoom back. So at the minimum value of y is -12.5 for question number 10E. Question number 12 is from the statistics. It's from statistics. We are to use this table to calculate correct to the one decimal place median, then modal score. So of course, to get mean, we need to use summation f first over summation f, because it's a group data. So let's try to get we know our frequency, which is f here, but we don't know our x. We don't have our hair, so we need to get our s before you can now compute this summation f first over summation f. So from the class interval given to us, which represent marks, we can get our x. So we have our marks, we have the frequency given to us, and the summation of the frequency is 150. Then from this class interval, we can get our x here by adding this plus this together divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2. So that will give us the value of x. 1 plus 10 is 11 divided by 2, that gives us 5.5. 11 plus 20 is 31 divided by 5, so divided by 2 rather, that gives us 15.5. 21 plus 30 is 51 divided by 4, that gives us 25.5 as well. So you do the same thing, you get the value of x here. Excuse me. Then from there, now we need to get your fx. F is multiplying x, so f will multiply this x, so you get another column here. So 26 times 5.5 give us a 143. 36.15.5 give us 1558. 38 multiplied by 25.5 give us 969. And you do the rest as well, you get all this. Then you're having summation of fx, so sum your fx together, that gives us 3695. Then divided by the frequency, sum of the frequency, which is 150. So from there you can get our mean would now become 3695 divided by 150, that gives us 24.6 as the mean score, which is for answer for question Roman figure 1. Then median, to find the median of a group data with class interval, we have the median to be L1 plus open bracket n over 2 minus cumulative CF raised to power m over fm multiplied by c. So I will tell you the meaning of all these variables one after the other. So L1 is the lower class boundaries of the median class. N over 2 is the median class. CF raised to power -1 raised to power minus m is cumulative frequency before the median class over frequency of the median class multiplied by the class size. I will come again. L1 is the lower class boundary of the median class. N over 2 is the median class. Then CF raised to power minus m is cumulative frequency before the median class. Then FM is frequency of the median class multiplied by class size. So that means we need to add something to this table to be able to find median. We need to add the class boundaries, and we need the cumulative frequency as well. So let's first find the cumulative frequency. How do we cumulate our frequency? So you have to add the frequency together. That's the meaning of cumulative. Cumulate it step by step. So the first number here you have in frequency is 26. You have 26 here as well. So now what you do is that to get the next value here, you draw like z like this. So that is 26 plus 36 will give us 62. Then the next z, this 62 plus 30 here will give us 100. The next one will be 100 plus 30 will give us 130. Next one will be 130 plus 15 will give us 145. 145 plus 15 will give us 150. Do you understand what you have done there? I will come again. The first cumulative frequency is 26. 26 plus 36 will give us 62. 62 plus 30 will give us 100. 100 plus 30 will give us 130. 130 plus 15 will give us 145. 1.5 plus 5 give us 150. And to know that your cumulative frequency is correct, the last number you are getting here must be the same thing as the sum of the frequency you have here. So we have our cumulative frequency now. The next thing we need is class boundaries, and that will get from a class interval. So remove 0.5 from the lower class interval, you will get the lower class boundary. Add 0.5 to the upper class interval, you get upper class boundaries. So remove 0.5 from here, you get 0.5. Add 0.5 to this, you have 10.5. You remove 0.5 from here, you have 10.5. Add 0.5 to this, you have 20.5. You remove 0.5 from here, you have 20.5. Add 0.5 to this, you have 30.5, and so on, do to everything. So now to get our median, now we have this table ready. Now we need cumulative frequency, we need the class boundaries. So let's go. To be able to know our lower class boundaries of the median class, first of all you need to simplify your median class, for which is n over 2. So the median class, which is n over 2, will be capital letter N represent total frequency, which is 150 divided by 2. That gives us 75 position, 75th position. So that's the median class. So the median class is 75th position. So what do? Go to your frequency and start adding it together to wherever you're going to get 75. So add this together to wherever you're going to get 75 position. But that we have already done already, because we have already added these frequencies together to give us this cumulative frequency. So it means that 75 position will fall here. This is the 62. 75 is more than 62, so 75 will fall in 100th position around here. So for the median class, you are working on this class. For the median class, we are working on this point. So we need the lower L1, which is the lower class boundary of the median class. So where is the lower class boundary of the median class? That should be 20.5. So our L1 is going to be 20.5 plus n over 2, which is the median class, that is 75, minus cumulative frequency before the median class. This is the median class here, and this is the cumulative frequency, but before it is what? 62. So you have 62 over frequency of the median class. This is the median class. Go to the frequency there, which is 38. 38 multiplied by the class size, which is C. Class size is this 11 minus 1, that gives us 10. Or you do 20 minus 10, that gives us 10 as well. You can also do 21 minus 11, 10. 30 minus 20 is 10. So that will give us the median class. So the median class is 10. So from there you can now simplify further. You have 20.5 plus, if you simplify this with your calculator, we have a 3.4211053. And if you add this together, that gives us 23.921053. So we have to take it to the 1 decimal place, and that should give us 23.9 to 1 decimal place. That's for the median. The next one is the modal score, which is the mode. We have to find the mode. Mode is L1 plus change in 1 over change in 1 plus change in 2 multiplied by class size. So what does L1 means? L1 means the lower class boundary of the modal class. Change in 1 is frequency of the modal class minus frequency before the modal class. Then change in 2 is frequency of the modal class minus frequency after the modal class, then multiply by the class size. I will come again. L1 is a lower class boundary of the modal class. Change in 1 is the frequency of the modal class minus frequency before the modal class. Change in 2, frequency of the modal class minus frequency after the modal class. Then our C is a class size. So the question is, how do we know the modal class? How do we know the modal class? The modal class is the class with the highest frequency. The class with the highest frequency is the modal class. So you look at the frequency here, which one is the highest frequency here, which is 38. So that means the modal class, we are working on this class for the modal class as well. So you are working on this class for the modal class as well. So we need L1 for that class, which is a lower class boundary. That gives us 20.5 as well. So we have 20.5 plus open bracket change in 1, the frequency of the modal class minus frequency before the modal class, which is 36. So you have 38 minus 36 over, we see how the same thing here as well, 38 minus 36, which is the same thing as this, plus change in 2, frequency of the modal class minus frequency after the modal class. That will be 38 minus 30 multiplied by the class size, which is 10. If you simplify this one further, we have 20.5 plus subtract it, that gives us 2. Then this is also 2 plus 38 minus 30 is 8 multiplied by 10. If we simplify further, so we have 2 over 10 multiplied by 10. 10 will take care of 10. 2 plus 20.5 will give us 22.5. So that's the modal score for the question number 12. Then the last question here, you have to determine the cutoff mark if only 20 candidates are to be offered admission. Determine the cutoff mark if only 20 candidates are to be offered admission. Don't forget that these are scores, or these are marks from 1 to 60 that students scored. So each 20 students will pass, or 20 students will be offered admission. Then how do we know the cutoff mark? Don't forget that these are mark, and this represent the number of students that got between 1 and 10, 26, 11 to 20, 36. People that score 20 from 21 to 30, they are 38. That score 31 to 40, they are 30. People that score 41 to 50, they are 15. That score 51 to 60, they are 15. So how many, what to be determine the cutoff mark if only 20 candidates should be offered for admission? If you come under here, you have 15 plus 5 here, that gives us 20. So if you consider these 20 students here, 15 and 5, that give us, if you add this together, give us 20 candidates as well. So that means we need to consider the scores of those students to be our cutoff mark. You understand that now? That will be the cutoff mark of the, if 20 students will be offered admission. So that means the only these 15 people with 15 year and 5 year will be offered admission. So what will be now be, what do you think will be the cutoff mark? The cutoff mark has to be from 41. Cutoff mark has to be 41, because any student that score 41 and above will fall between this category and this category. So that means the cutoff mark should be what? 41. So that means the cutoff mark of the for the admission should be what? 41. So that is the end of the solution for the Neco 2024, the general mathematics question for the theory. And I want to believe that you have learned one or two things from this video, and I believe you enjoy it, and you have been following from the beginning, and you can see that it's very simple questions that were asked. So I want to thank you for staying tuned. If you're here to subscribe to this channel, please click the subscribe button right now, and please share the video with students out there, like the video, and comment in the comment section of this video. And if you have done that before, please don't do it again. I mean, if you have subscribed before, don't bother to subscribe again, so that you will not be unsubscribed. And as you do so, may the good Lord bless you. I'll see you in the next video, which is the further mathematics question for the Neco as well. Thank you, and God bless you.